Welcome.
This is another episode of the Defenders of Business Value podcast, a podcast where we talk about what makes a business valuable, learn the tips and tactics to increase your company's value that only veteran deal makers know. And now, here's your host, Ed Mysogland.
Welcome to the Defenders of Business Value podcast. I'm your host, Ed Mysogland, and today's a real interesting podcast because we're talking about BizSaleByOwner. And BizSaleByOwner is near and dear to my heart because I get the opportunity to visit with Gary Stehle, who's my partner and co-founder of BizSaleByOwner. And BizSaleByOwner is a two-sided platform. And we started building this thing, years. I mean, it's at least 2, maybe even 3 years in the making, and a lot of money in building out what we see as a platform that will serve all business owners. And it's basically a two-sided marketplace where on one side you have the opportunity to list businesses, and on the other side you have professional service providers that specialize, that are in the exit space, but are industry, hopefully, specialists. And so like I said, it's a two-sided marketplace, and it's so exciting because I don't think there's anything out there like this. There's pieces, but not under one roof. And so my conversation with Gary, aside from walking down memory lane of what it took to get it here, we talk about the features and why we built it the way we did, and why business owners should, really resonate that if they're thinking about an exit, why this might make some really good sense to them. So, like I said, it's exciting, frightening at the same time, but it's a great platform, and I think it's going to do really well here in 2023 and 2024 and beyond. So I hope you enjoy learning a little bit more about my recent project with my partner, Gary Stehle. So Gary, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Ed. It's good to be here.
Well, what the audience doesn't know is that you and I have a long, long history together. So why don't we start there? I introduced you before we came on, and I guess why don't we start where your practice is today, what you're doing, and then we can talk about BizSaleByOwner.
Sure. So so today I work for the largest provider of home services, franchisor, called Neighborly, and I work with our business owners, our franchise owners. Neighborly is a little bit unique in the fact that we have a whole resale team, a whole resale department. So we recognize on the front end that many of the people joining are going to at some point want to sell. And so we have a whole team dedicated to helping our owners that are looking to exit at some point, whether it's retirement or it could be any reason. We have the resources in the team to help the owners. So that's what I'm doing today, and it's a good fit because I've been in the space of working, as you know, Ed, with small business owners pretty much over my entire career. I was a small business owner early in my career. I was a franchise owner, and when I sold, I ended up going into business brokerage, helping small business owners buy and sell businesses, and that's shortly after that time is when we met each other. So,
yeah, it's been a good time to know you because like I said, you broke my heart by leaving the brokerage, and then you went and what's interesting is that everything kind of comes full circle, and so I'm excited about the work that we're doing here with BizSaleByOwner. So, you want to talk about the platform, or you want me to?
Go ahead and kick it off. You're a good speaker. You're a good talker.
Fair enough. Okay, so yeah, BizSaleByOwner. This goes back, for me, it goes back to 2017 and 2018, and originally I was going to come out with a course. It seemed everybody was coming up with different courses of things, whether it's building a business or fitness or whatever. And so I had a course, how to sell your business course.com. And I kept on thinking, well, this is going to be really hard to scale. And when I say scale, the underlying message behind BizSaleByOwner is that just about every company can sell, and we want to provide the platform that that becomes almost a household name, kind of like Zillow, but for businesses. And I think the more I thought of it, and that's when you and I started talking about, how can we bring the sale expertise to small business and have a platform. And that's where you and I started talking and exploring. And I remember we were sitting at a coffee shop with a notebook, just writing out what would eventually become the BizSaleByOwner platform. And we had that brainstorming session about, what are all the tools that a business owner would want to, have at their disposal in order to, effectively have a self-directed sale. And, by no means am I saying that, there's no space in this platform for brokers. But I do think that there are a lot of business owners that want to either A, give it a go themselves just because they're entrepreneurs, or B, they are more suited to have a self-directed sale if they have the knowledge that there's guardrails, alongside, the sale process. And so
Yeah.
we'll talk a little bit more about features, but yeah, so that's kind of the history of at least how I remember it.
Yeah, it's gone on for quite some time. We've hashed it out and talked, and then I think when kind of the world changed in 2020
COVID.
with COVID, that probably had a little bit more time to think about it, and also that changed the way a lot of us interact. A lot of virtual meetings. People are more used to not going to the office. They're used to working with people in other parts of the country. So that lines up real well, I think, with the platform. And I think going back to the notion about business brokers, I was a business broker, so I believe that they are valuable and definitely have a place. But there's also going to be a lot of instances, and I see it quite a bit now with what I'm doing, where a business may not be attractive to a business broker. Maybe it's smaller. Maybe, there's all kinds of different things that go on with a small business that it just may not be a good fit for them to work with a business broker. And we want to make sure that those owners and those sellers have a place to find the resources and be able to sell their business. Because, like I said, we have a team at Neighborly that helps them with that, but many small business owners don't have that, and they don't know where to go. So that was kind of one of the driving forces, I think, in our discussions. So.
Well, I and I think we talked about this, that, it's not like we were making the, since we're recording close to the holiday, it's not the island of misfit toys. It's this is, people tend, and there's more of a movement into, the doing it yourself crowd. And in our case, the self-directed service, having a platform that you have the entire horsepower of professional advisors at your fingertips that you can engage to help you have a successful self-directed sale. That's a big thing. Now, conversely, you have business brokers where it's a full service experience. You recognize that that's running your own sale process is not what you want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's that is
Needed.
yeah that,
Yeah,
there's
I direct business owners to quality brokers every week, because it could be where this business owner is running a business, right? They're busy. They don't have time to sift through 100 leads of prospective buyers to get to that one or two that's actually serious. Many of them, they've never sold a business before, so they want that comfort level. But like you said, for BizSaleByOwner, those that want to do more self-directed and maybe need some help along the way, whether it's valuing the business, coming up, recasting financials, whatever the case might be, they're going to be able to find those resources on BizSaleByOwner. So I think I think that's really, we're looking the business brokerage world hasn't changed in, I don't know, Ed, how long you've been doing this?
31 years.
31 years. You don't look that old.
It hasn't changed, and the mechanics of it remain the same, and it's still a relationship business, and it's still and those that are good deal makers will always, this is certain should not be a threat by any means. And in fact, this only should amplify their practice. But I will tell you that, one of my underlying goals is moving the bad actors out of this space. I think, you would think, as long as I've been in the business, you would think that there would be the SEC or some regulatory body would come over the top of this industry and say, you know what, we're dealing with somebody's net worth here. Maybe we should provide some guardrails and provide some, like broker check with FINRA and things like that, where, you can vet out those bad actors, so what you're getting, especially given the risk associated with selling your business under the or through perhaps a person or an organization that doesn't have the script.
That's a good point, because when I talk to business owners to this day, I always tell them, a business broker is as good as who they are as a professional, as an individual. They're people. So like in anything, there's going to be good ones and bad ones. And so I think, to your point, having a platform to go to where if they want to hire a full service broker, to be able to find a person maybe that has, let's say they own a business, it's an HVAC business, and they want to find someone that's sold, 10, 20, 30, or just focuses exclusively on selling HVAC businesses. They can find that type of person on the platform. They don't have to be local. They don't have to be in their market. You and I know plenty of people that specialize in certain sectors, and they work with business owners all over the country. So, but at the same time, they can see, they can see some reviews on them and vet them out. So it's just like anything. A business broker is worth their weight in gold if they've got the experience and they're high quality. But like you said, there's not a lot of, it just hasn't been regulated. One of the things that I didn't mention was, in between working as a business broker and coming to where I am now, I spent about 5 years at a boutique investment bank. And so we were doing larger deals. So we were regulated by the SEC. We had to have FINRA licensing. And so whole different world. But it's, it's something that it is kind of shocking that the Main Street small business space is not more regulated in some ways.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I mean, I don't want to say disappointing. You would think that with as much that's on the line, um, that there that that somebody would come alongside and say, you know what, we probably need to to protect this sale, because not only is it a taxable event, but it also is a life changing event for that person that's selling. But I don't know. I with the new recent regulation change that even broadened the scope of what brokers can do as far as size and stock sales and things that historically they've not been able to do, without invoking the SEC no action letter. That's a the barriers to entry are even lower now. So, but
Yeah.
let's talk about why we're here.
Yeah.
So the platform, the funny thing, I was thinking about this, our interview here, and I was thinking about how far we've come. And I don't think, you alluded to it, throughout COVID, it took, it changed the world, but it also enabled us to, while we were, shut in with in our homes, it also helped us start, start this thing and work with a developer or a development team, I should say. And we kept on, it was kind of like the wish list of everything a business buyer, seller, and advisor could possibly need. And it's, you hear, I do some, as you know, I do some work over at Butler University with the entrepreneurship program. And one of the things is, you release and iterate as fast as possible. And for us, you would think that
we had the professor on the team.
you would think that I would subscribe to my own medicine, but no such luck. But you know what? I think what we found is as we got into it, I think we learned more about what what we wanted, what a business owner would need. And while I regret the delay in releasing it, I do think that the timing works out well. So
I agree. Yeah.
So BizSaleByOwner. So this is, the big overview is that it's a two-sided marketplace. All right. So the first side, for those of you listening, it's almost like a biz sale or a biz buy sell. So it's a marketplace, so
that'll be down the road. It's almost like a BizSaleByOwner, right? There'll be people talking about.
Right. So it's a, like an Axial, a biz buy sell, a platform that you have,
Listing platform.
Listings and engagements that are on one side of the platform that buyers can see. And then on the other side, which is unique and different to this entire space, is it's almost like an Upwork, but only for people involved in the exit. So for those of you not familiar with Upwork, it's also a marketplace, but the marketplace is for graphic designers, podcast editors. You can hire computer programmers. You can just about any kind of contractor in the creative space. You can go to Upwork and hire
any type of service that can be provided remotely, right?
Right. Yeah. And people from all over the world. And I've engaged with people from Italy, Ukraine, Switzerland, as well as domestic. And so Upwork, so the two-sided platform is when a business owner requires that support, they can, within the platform, raise their hand, create a job. I need help with and then pick what you want, what you need help with, whether that's valuation, legal, accounting, financing, all those things that you typically would have, potential need professional guidance on. It's right there and available. So that's the platform. So you want to talk about features?
I would love to. I would add one more thing in when you're talking about Upwork, which is the same with BizSaleByOwner, that it has to be secure. So there has to be the buyer or the seller that's engaging one of the service providers on the platform wants to know that, hey, if I pay whatever the X amount of money is that we agreed to, then I'm going to get the work. So I'm sure that's one of the things we'll talk about, but I just wanted to add that in there, that we have a partnership with escrow.com to help manage that security.
Yeah, for both sides. I mean, it's well, let's just talk about sellers. So let's just dive into it. So the background of any brokerage or the sale of any company is confidentiality. And so we've layered on a number of fail safes, from anybody that's going to inquire on in the business has to be registered. All right, that's the first thing. Anybody that is going to have a interaction, meaning we'll talk about our messaging on the backside, has to be registered. There is a built-in confidentiality agreement, as part of the inquiry process. So
which is all digital online.
Yeah, it's all digital, and it makes everybody understand that this is a confidential transaction. So that's the first thing. You want to talk about second, or do you want me to keep going?
What's on the second list?
No, I was going to talk about that as far as cost. So the cost to the seller is nothing. There is no fee to put your business on the market through BizSaleByOwner. There is a fee, however. We have if you, for whatever reason, you as a seller choose to raise your hand and say, you know what, I will pay a referral fee for anybody that sends me a buyer. So for a $20 a month charge, you can put a badge on your profile that will signal to buyers and advisors that you're willing to pay a referral fee. So that's the only cost that you have. Now, I say that, and I do want to also share that we do have, when you do have you do create a job, say you have a business valuation, you want to know, you need some valuation guidance or some tax advice, whatever. And you create a job that says, I need some help. Well, there's a cost to that. And so you will pay that contractor or the advisor on the other side of the platform for that. So, but as far as to use the platform, there is no charge.
Yeah, can I add a couple things to what you just said, Ed?
That's why you're here.
All right. So on the badge, I think just to highlight that, the reason for that is obviously to get more exposure. So if you're saying, let's say you have a business and you're listing it on the platform for $300,000. That's the asking price, and you're saying, I'm willing to pay a referral fee to someone who brings me a buyer that ends up buying my business. I'm willing to pay, and you set whatever that amount is that you're willing to pay, whether it's a percentage or a flat fee. What often happens is advisors are working with potential business buyers in a particular market, and they're trying to find or help them find a business, or a lot of times business brokers will maybe have sold a business in your market recently, and they have a list of buyers that are looking for similar type businesses. So they want to find opportunities for those potential buyers because they've already qualified. They've already qualified them to an extent, and they know that they're good quality buyers. So they're trying to find them a business. So if you mark that you're willing to pay this referral fee, that's likely going to attract them to introduce their buyer to you. So for the minimal amount to put that on there, and it's gonna expand your potential buyer pool. So just wanted to kind of add that kind of color to it.
Well, one of my favorite features across out of all the crazy things we decided to add on, my favorite is the communication feature, the feedback feature. And for those of you who using Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and you have the like and dislike buttons, we built that into this because for one of the biggest complaints that business sellers have with the people that advise them, when they're selling, is there's not a whole lot of feedback that ever comes from a broker. And again, the broker's out doing their job, looking for buyers, but the best brokers are able to give feedback, even if it's bad feedback. And so we built into the sell side that, a registered buyer can like or dislike the engagement or the listing. They can create public facing comments. So if you're 10 times overvalued, somebody's gonna say something, and hopefully, and again, at the same time, we also have a misconduct button, meaning we're not going to allow someone to berate another on the platform just because they aren't necessarily versed in business valuation. We'll put a stop to that, and we'll encourage our sell side user to engage in an appraisal. But for me, that should provide a lot of ancillary guidance that a business owner would need. And then the third thing is that there is direct messaging. Just like you have on your phone, there is direct messaging with registered buyers. All right. And so you can share files, you can communicate, you can add a team if you wish, you can add a group chat, you can add advisors to the conversation. You can have advisors talk on your behalf. All those things are what we baked into communicating with the with the seller, communicating with the interested party. So that's so I'm stoked about the feedback.
Yeah, I add on the feedback too. A lot of sellers, we hear, and I know you do too, Ed, is I'm out there on the market. I'm not hearing anything. What's going on? Whether they're listed with a broker or not listed with a broker, a seller always wants to have some feedback. Like you said, even if it's not the most positive feedback, more information is better than no information. So I think that's really the value that we see here. And like Ed said, it's if it would get to the point where it's feedback that's just not productive, that there is a misconduct button for that. So
yeah, and to round out the sell side stuff, I am proud of the help desk. There is a help desk that if you get into any kind of jam, whether it's on the platform or just the whole sale process, that's a really good tool for the for sellers that they can there's a variety of different ways to get the help that they need in order to successfully sell. So I'm proud of that. The escrow.com, that is a big win. Now I will for the service providers, for the advisors, I mean, it is they verify who you are, and there's a couple steps that you have to do once, but after that, it's nothing. And on the sell side, when you're looking at, when you have a job, there is, you have to get satisfaction in the work that was done. There is the opportunity to dispute the service. Now, do we envision that's going to happen? Probably not. But just in case, that my point is that every the engagement as seller puts out there, they are assured that the transaction that's being created is secure, and B, the service that's going to be provided, you as the seller have have the control to release the funds to the service provider. That's what's
and if we get for example, and we don't envision this happening, but if we get the same complaints about a particular advisor time and time again, well, then that's when we platform's going to have to step in. So there's security in knowing that the advisors that are being brought on the platform are going to have to maintain certain standards just to get on the platform, but once they're on as well. So
well, let's move on to buyers. The feedback from buyers over the years is, boy, wouldn't it be great if a platform was proactive in helping me find a deal. And we've seen some new platform birthed out of COVID, where there's now emails that are going out where there's some services that are scraping the various websites and sending them out to prospective buyers. On BizSaleByOwner, you fill out, this is what I'm looking for, and you can have as many profiles as you want. This type of business profile. I'm looking for a HVAC company, 1 to 5 million within, in Florida. And as soon as something like that comes on board, it's going to immediately send you a notification that there is one available. So I'm not going to, we consciously made the decision. We know this is about time, and we want to be able to support the buyer, that you don't have to come crawl over our website, every other day. So to ensure that you're going to get an opportunity at a deal, we will be more than happy to do it for you. All right. You got anything else? Yeah. You got anything?
No, I would just add, and talking to a number of serious buyers over the years, a little bit of frustration on their part, whether it's going to some of the platforms or directly to a brokerage in their local markets, is that they're, by the time they see it or get a call back, if it's listed with a broker, for example, there's already an offer on it. The businesses that are priced right with a good cash flow, they're going to attract attention. So there's frustration that I've heard quite a bit from buyers that, hey, I'm getting in too late. I'm not seeing these opportunities. So again, with the theme of why this was built, kind of leveling the playing field and allowing the buyers to have that access. So.
Yeah. One thing we failed to mention on the sell side, and I'm going to revisit just for a second, is that you don't have to be a self-directed seller the entire time. You can say, you know what, I've tried it, it didn't work, or I don't want to do it, or it's taking too much time. And you can spin out of it and you can hire a full service broker, regardless of where you're at in the process. And, either they're on the platform or we'll help find it for them. All right.
Yeah. One other thing on that is you might be a seller that already has a buyer, but you still need help. So you may come to the platform not to find a buyer, but you may come to the platform because you need help in certain areas. You may need help drafting documents. You may need help in due diligence. There's all kinds of things. We always say, Ed, when you get to the point where you have a buyer and you have an accepted letter of intent or offer, you're only part of the way there to get to closing. There's a lot of things that need to be done and done right. So I just want to add that there's plenty of times when a seller has a buyer and they still need the resources that BizSaleByOwner is going to be providing.
Yeah. All right. Well, back to buyers. So one of the more interesting things is, that there's the feedback that we talked about with the seller, that you can, as a registered buyer, you can provide feedback to that seller, public feedback, that is. The other thing that I like, certainly an NDA is able to be executed on the fly, that, that the friction, that historically has been there where, somebody's going to email you an NDA or send you a DocuSign or whatever. On this platform, it's embedded. So the businesses that you're taking a look at, there will be an NDA that is prompted and is required to take that next step. The other thing is being able to communicate with the seller directly. All right. So you will have on platform messaging where you can begin that interaction. And of course, at some point it's going to, it may, come off platform and that's fine. But at least the initial conversations will likely be within the proverbial four virtual walls.
And the seller has control over, continuing that communication or not. So,
yeah. And and the other side is, again, we talked about misconduct. The chats are monitored, and so they are, you can't get on the platform and beat up on a seller. It's just not that just doesn't work. The other side for buyers is that you too can create a job. And if you need help as a buyer, whether it be financing or valuation or legal or whatever, you too can create a job and say, look, I need this kind of help. And an advisor will raise their hand and say, I can help you. And this is where we go. So that's it about buyers. So the big thing with buyers, again, is, the platform is proactive in helping you identify the businesses that are just come on the market. So you will have a first look at those. You do have direct feedback for the seller. You do have direct messaging with the seller, and you do have the opportunity to have be able to create a job and get additional support for the acquisition or either an on-platform or off-platform acquisition. All right, moving on to buyers, or moving on to advisors. So when we talk about advisors, and this was probably one I was most excited about, because this is, I think, one of those big differentiators amongst, all of the marketplaces that are out there. And, I think over the years, and I know you have some stories about it too, but there, somebody that has particular expertise in a domain is a superior advisor in a sale. All right. And that's not taking away from the generalist, but somebody that has the more reps doing a particular type of business, whether that be in valuation, legal, accounting, brokerage, or any other
Franchising.
franchising,
Yeah.
or any other support, exit support service in the exit ecosystem. All of those people collectively should, if you assemble a team that has expertise in a particular domain or an industry, I think you're pretty much unstoppable to not get your deal done. You agree?
I would agree. I always like to use the story of, just going back to being at the brokerage where we get if we get a business referred in, and I'm not just speaking particularly at yours, any brokerages, when a business gets referred in, let's say it's a smaller business, let's say it's it's going to be a $200,000 sales price or $150,000 ask price. And it's probably going to get put with the newer guy, the newer broker, he or she, at the firm, maybe overseen by one of the senior brokers. But at the end of the day, that seller, that's the most important thing that they're selling right now. So we want that seller to have control over who's going to be helping them sell that business. Not to say that the new guy's not good. He's probably very hungry, but like you said, he doesn't have the experience. So we want to put the control back into the business owner's hands to where they can control, they can control who they're going to work with, essentially. And just like you said, if I own an HVAC business or I own an electrical business, I'd prefer to work with somebody that's at least sold a few of those. And I don't necessarily, no offense against the new broker, but I don't necessarily want somebody that's never sold a business before. So.
Yeah. And again, and everybody has to start somewhere. I get that. I just don't want them. I think there's a lot of business owners. I don't want to be the guy that you get your practice on. And again, and there may be, I even though we're all dealing with numbers and financial statements and so on and so forth, there are nuances amongst businesses that I think if you have particular domain expertise may get you a premium, and I just think that's important.
And I would also add, like I mentioned, franchising before. Franchising is kind of a whole nother layer. You're dealing with the franchisor, and there's approval process. There's things that need to be done. There's extra steps that need to be done, where I know for a fact some brokers just don't want to deal with that. But then there's some brokers that's their niche. They know not only franchising, but they have maybe niches within franchising. And so to be able to find quality advisors that are working in your space, I think is invaluable. And again, we go back to the fact that technology has opened this whole world up. It's like we said, business brokerage, for example, hasn't changed in years and years and years. You don't have, if you're a business owner in Atlanta, Georgia, you don't necessarily have to work with a broker in Atlanta, Georgia. You want to find the best person or the best advisor to represent you, and they don't have to be in your hometown. So.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good segue regarding the advisors. So the professional advisors that we're looking at are, accountants, attorneys, bankers, brokers, appraisers, equipment appraisers, real estate appraisers, franchise support folks, and the like. Those that serve in the exit ecosystem, as we call it, and those service providers, where the hope is that, and coaches, I forgot coaches, and those people, we want those people to be on the platform and saying, here's my body of work. Here's what I do. Here's my LinkedIn profile you can learn about. Here's reviews that I've received. And so we want, those advisors to be able to post to the platform. And we know that, there's a lot of people that the sole practitioners that have domain expertise, they're they're fighting an upstream battle for visibility, and we want to provide that. If regardless of the size of the company, you can, or you can come on the platform and raise your hand that I have domain experience in selling pig farms. And I say pig farms only because, or pig pharmaceutical company, only because I did some value work, recently on that, not for sale purposes, but for estate purposes. And I mean, what's the likelihood that somebody is an expert in that? Well, believe it or not, there is.
Mhm.
And so, you this enables you to work from anywhere. B, you get to you have either, this can become your primary source of income or supplements your existing income. You get to work on the jobs you want. You don't, there's a job that comes across the platform. You don't have to raise your hand and say, I'll work on it. You get the opportunity to say yay or nay. I think that there'll be, like, especially like for attorneys, I think the platform creates a lot of long-term opportunity. Same thing with accountants, I guess.
Yeah, and I think just having subject matter experts, our goal is to have them be contributors too.
Yeah.
As far as information and sharing information, and it's like you said, it's a way, it's a business development piece for them as well, especially if they're smaller and don't, they're one man operation, or a smaller shop providing those services. This is a good way, and I can tell you the advisors, the good advisors out there that I work with, they are particular. They're not just going to take anything, because they want to make sure, number one, it's within their scope, but they also want to make sure that they're spending time wisely. So,
Well, and again, I think the goal with this is that anybody that supports exits, no matter where you are in the industry, all right, no matter what industry, we want this to be the place that you hang out to find good, rewarding engagements that you're passionate about. And that's really, that's really what the future of work is: working on the things that you really want to work on. And hopefully that we're creating this ecosystem where that if you really are the expert in your industry, you really want to make it a point to show up here, because this is going to give you the greatest at bats. So, and then lastly, on the advisors is, we've got, you alluded to it earlier, we've got escrow.com layered over, over the whole process, to ensure that you get paid. And that's most important is, A, it's secure, and B, that you are able to control, the projects you work on. So for the enterprise, we wanted to come alongside franchise, and this is the latest speed bump that we took a little extra time on getting into place before this release. So for enterprises, franchise, there's a lot of franchises that don't have resale divisions. There's a lot of brokers that, that um, that have the opportunity to work with perhaps businesses that aren't their ideal business, but they still don't want to turn them away because of size, or let's just use size for a moment. This is a platform that they can create an enterprise account, and so there's a subdomain. So it would be, biz, franchise.bizsalebyowner.com. And so you and your team have basically a platform within a platform, a white labeled platform that you can, run shotgun and help these business owners that have come through your practice, and you can charge whatever you want. That doesn't mean anything to us, but you can work with these business owners and put them on the platform and help them sell. And you have all the same tools that we talked about before, but you have an admin. So the business owner or the practice owner is the admin. Then you have the sales the sales people, and then you have the actual sellers. And so you have intercompany communication. You have, custom branding. You have like I said, all the same tools that we've already discussed, but you now have basically a brokerage within a self-directed sale platform. Did I miss anything, Gary?
Yeah, no, I think the point really is anybody that's working with multiple business owners or sellers that is helping advise them could set up an enterprise account on BizSaleByOwner. So that could be, like Ed said, it could be a franchisor that has resales, and they have a point person at the franchise that in most cases, it's the person in charge of development, that their real job is to go out and sell new franchises. But nevertheless, you can't ignore the resales. It's especially with established franchises, there's going to always be resales. So that point person can set up an enterprise account and help manage and help guide the resales within their system and help use the platform and the resources to get them through that process.
Yeah.
Business brokerage, like you said, same thing. I know, you've alluded to me about all the money that's spent on advertising to find sellers. And I don't know what the percentages are, but it's a big percent that of these people that raise their hand, you don't end up taking on in a full service exclusive arrangement. So your point is that all of these other businesses still need help. And so the brokerage firm could set up an enterprise account on BizSaleByOwner and come alongside for, again, like Ed said, you can charge whatever you want, but a monthly fee, let's say, and maybe, a small retainer fee to be there as a resource to help them through that process. And then it could be accounting firms that do a lot of work with sellers that want to come alongside them. Mm-hmm. I think for accountants and attorneys, if their client is selling their business, what's attractive to them is to, number one, obviously help their client through that sales process, but number two, maybe have the opportunity to continue on with that business with whoever buys it. So they're not necessarily losing a client. So I think there's a lot of those types of opportunities.
Yeah. Okay. So as we're kind of coming to the end, as far as fees, you want to talk about fees and the mechanics, or you want me to?
Go ahead, Ed. You've been doing good. I mean, I know we already covered the seller. The sellers, there's no fees to list.
So look, at the end of the day, the trouble with a marketplace is the chicken or the egg. And so for the time being, I mean, there's a lot that's free here. And as far as sellers, our hope is to help the sellers keep as much in their pocket as possible. For the buyers, at some point, and there has to be some critical mass as far as the number of engagements on the platform. But at some point, there'll be a fee to use the platform. I don't know when that's going to be. I would suspect when we get to 250 to 400 businesses on the platform. For advisors, there will be I think the first 100 advisors we're doing free.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's $49 per month to be on it. The other thing we forgot to mention is that there's an affiliate link that if anybody wants to be an affiliate of BizSaleByOwner, they can get, free months, on the platform, by using their affiliate link. But back to fees for enterprises, the the cost will be $199 per month, and that will give you for now, um, up to, I believe, 25. I think we said 25 engagements, and
Yeah.
then
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, and on the enterprise side, we imagine there's going to be some customization too. So depending on what that particular enterprise customer wants, there will be some variations there. But I think the point being is, we want it to be a situation where it's 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 going to be well worth the fee, and
Yeah.
it's going to be revenue generating for those enterprise clients.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention on the advisors. I mean, so there is a 10% fee for us, as well as there's a nominal fee from escrow.com to use their
On the
platform.
jobs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the fees. Right now though, it's we're welcoming, everybody to come take a good hard look and give us some feedback. The good, bad, and I would prefer the bad. I want to create a platform that is absolutely best in class. That will help more people be able to sell their company. So as we're wrapping up, Gary, what anything else you want to discuss?
No, I think we've covered the basics, and I think at the end of the day, through our careers, it's hard to imagine how long we've been doing this, but I think at the end of the day, we just felt like there was, that the business buying and selling sector, I guess, or space hadn't changed much. I'm talking, more Main Street,
Mm-hmm.
and with advances in technology and the more acceptance of remote virtual meetings, this is a great time, um, to launch this type of platform.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, we want, like Ed said, we want to help sellers be in more control and have a self-directed process if they choose, or like Ed said, maybe they choose to start that way and they figure out, well, maybe I do want a full service, to be able to find that as well. So at the end of the day, it's just putting more control both in the buyers, sellers, and advisors' hands. And so I think that's the end goal for what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only thing I would add is, this is an enormous problem. And most business owners, they don't know it's a problem until they know it's a problem. And I'm hoping that, this platform is as well known as your Zillows, that, that there is a marketplace that you can go to whenever you want to solve your exit problems, whether that's a pre-sale or an execution of the sale or a post-sale issue. That there is one-stop exit ecosystem that you can go to, that that will make all the difference in the world. And you don't have to go, I can tell you, you don't have to go to Google. You don't have to go to Google and hope that, the number one, uh, listing on Google is the right person for you. Um, I'm hoping that when it's all said and done, everybody knows, um, BizSaleByOwner and knows what we're about and, how we're trying to serve the small business community. So for me, that's where I'm going to leave it.
Well, it's been fun visiting with you again, Ed.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to kind of talk about just the history of kind of bringing this thing together. So
it's funny you say that, because I was thinking, I'm like, wow, we have covered a lot of ground in the last few years. So, All right, my man.
All right.
Well, I appreciate the time, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Take care, Ed. We'll see you.
This was another episode of the Defenders of Business Value podcast. For more episodes packed with strategies to increase the value of your business, visit defendersofbusinessvalue.com for show notes, transcripts, and free tools to start you on your journey. Subscribe now so you don't miss any future episodes.